disappearance, death, tragedy, and unsolved mystery. These aren't often the words you hear when describing our glorious national parks. It's a stark contrast from what you're used to hearing. Road trips and new adventures, a relaxing day at the lake, hiking trails leading to panoramic views of unparalleled beauty. This is what most people picture on their visit to any national park. But there is a darker side to Mother Nature that people underestimate. Every year we hear a new story of people disappearing or getting killed at a national park. According to Forbes, between the years 2007 and 2018, there were over 2,700 deaths recorded in the national parks around the United States. Many were due to suicide, while others died of natural causes. But what about the rest? Reports suggest that a majority of these people died in a variety of different accidents. Let's look at how many people die in national parks in this video. Not just that, we'll walk you through some of the deadliest national parks in the world and how people disappeared or died there. Before we begin, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. Okay, let's focus on the stats. How many people die in national parks and why? So according to the numbers maintained by the National Park Service, around 120 to 140 people die at national parks every single year. And they did not count the suicides in this number, so technically that number is higher. It's estimated that over 3.5 billion people visit these parks between 2007 and 2018. And the exact number of reported deaths were said to be 2,727 during this timeline. So the most common reasons behind these deaths included motor vehicle crashes, drowning, falls, and natural death. And then beyond that, there are a number of deaths reported that had undetermined causes. Talking about all the national parks that consistently report the highest number of deaths, it's not surprising that the most famous national parks are on the list. Despite the fact that billions of visitors go to different parks in the country, only 4 of them actually reported over 100 deaths. These national parks included Lake Mead National Recreation Area, Yosemite National Park, Grand Canyon National Park, and Natchez Trace Park. Let's look at each of these in a little bit more detail. Lake Mead National Park. Known as one of the deadliest national parks in the world, Lake Mead sees millions of visitors every year. Between 2006 and 2016, over 275 people lost their lives while visiting this park. According to a popular outdoor publication report, there's a 1 in 307,000 chance of dying at Lake Mead National Park. While talking about the issue, the park spokesperson stated, while no national park in the world would want to be known as the deadliest, there's a number of factors at Lake Mead that causes it to lead in the number of fatalities. According to her, Lake Mead is one of the most visited national parks in the US, and the visitors are often involved in activities that can be pretty risky. She further explained that the park in question is about 87% land, and yet most visitors are spending their time on the water. For these reasons, it's no surprise that the number 1 cause of death at the park is drowning. Okay, moving on to Yosemite National Park. Yosemite National Park is another one with the highest death rates in the US. According to a study, the deaths recorded at this park between 2007 and 2018 were about 133 deaths. And just like Lake Mead, the majority of deaths at this park were also caused due to drowning incidents. Apparently, drowning makes up to 25% of total deaths in the park. Next up would be Grand Canyon National Park, another one of the most visited national parks in the US. And you'll be surprised to know the number of people who died here. Up until 2001, over 900 people have died at this park. But here, the main cause of death is not drowning. In fact, most people who died here met their end in an airplane and helicopter crash. Not just that, but many also got killed due to falling from cliffs or overheating. In contrast, a small amount got killed because of drowning. This park is so deadly because it's just so big. It's over 1,900 square miles of terrain ranging from whitewater rapids to steep, unpassable cliffs. People tend to underestimate the power of the wilderness here, and often they die from exposure and dehydration before ever making it back to safety. Okay, now let's take a look at disappearances from national parks. While deaths are fairly understandable, as they mostly happen due to tragic accidents or natural causes, The issue of these people just disappearing from the parks has always been a huge point of discussion. Apparently, since the National Park Service was established in 1916, they've reported over 1,000 Americans who simply vanished from the face of the earth. Or did they? Not every one of these vanishing cases are difficult to solve. Most times, they end up finding the bodies of the victims, but what about the rest, the ones that were never found? Sadly, according to law enforcement, there is no database available for anyone who's disappeared in any national park in America. It makes it super hard for officials to figure out any significant pattern or trends in the incidents. Most of these disappearances, though fairly mysterious, should have a very logical explanation. The only caveat to this is that often we don't get the explanation for each disappearance that occurs. This leads to some other more interesting theories ranging from extraterrestrial abductions, supernatural events, and some even go as far as to believe that national parks are often portals to other dimensions. Whether or not you believe something supernatural is responsible for these occurrences, there is no denying that a lot of these disappearances leave us scratching our heads in confusion and disbelief. And in some of the following stories, these cases would never be solved. Let's take a look at some of the more famous stories of disappearances from national parks over the years. So in 1928, there was a couple named Bessie and Glenn Hyde who decided to raft the Colorado River for their honeymoon trip. They'd gotten some tips from river rafters along the way and even had their picture taken at one of the checkpoints on the river. This was 2 days before they disappeared. Bessie was new to boating while Glenn had done it before, and some people who saw them boating stated that Bessie wanted to turn back. However, Glenn pushed her along with him. After a time, the couple had not returned and seemed to have vanished, and a search operation was held. Several months passed. They found their boat, which was in perfect condition, but the couple was nowhere to be found. Many believe that they got lost and died, while others think the couple was abducted. But honestly, there's no confirmed answer to what exactly happened to them. There was another story of a boy named Dennis Martin. In 1969, a 6-year-old boy was camping in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park with his family. Him and his brothers decided to hide separately in bushes on each side of their campsite to scare their parents. Soon after the brothers were done pulling pranks, they realized that Dennis was nowhere to be seen. A search was immediately conducted, one of the largest in national park search history. Though a team of seasoned searchers were on the case, they were shocked at the complete lack of tracks, traces, or evidence of the boy even being at the campsite, let alone where he disappeared to, and he was never found. These type of stories happen year after year, leading all the way up until 2021. When the world watched as the story of Gabby Petito unfolded over national headlines. Her disappearance from Arches National Park in Utah absolutely baffled police and social media sleuths for weeks. This story was eventually solved, but many don't end up that way, and this only scratches the surface of the dark side of Mother Nature's wilderness. That's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe.